Hi, Dr. Scott Banks here. What I'd like to do today is just to give you a little bit of information around a very important molecule in your body known as nitric oxide. Just learning about this could have a profound impact on your overall health and vitality as you move forward through your decades of living. All right, so all chronic diseases, I shouldn't say all, but most chronic diseases have a commonality, and a lot of that has to do with blood flow in the body. And so if you're deficient in getting blood flow, then you're going to be deficient in getting oxygen into tissue, deficient in getting nutrients into tissue, and getting metabolic waste products out of that. So enter as a molecule that we call nitric oxide. So you can't really measure nitric oxide in blood work because it's a gas. It's made by the endothelium of your blood vessels, and you've got about 66,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. So I don't want to go through each one of these, but you'll see that nitric oxide deficiency is associated in blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's, ALS, Alzheimer's disease. And so nobody's really testing this unless you go into a functional medicine provider like me or somebody that's in the know. Even traditional cardiologists are not checking your nitric oxides. And it takes about 15 seconds to check it. And by improving it can really have a profound impact on your overall health, your vitality, your cardiovascular system, your blood pressure, and help you age well. All right, none of us get out of here alive, but if we want to live well and we want to live long and healthy. All right, and you'll see this right here, neuroprotective around supporting nitric oxide. So as a specialist in taking care of patients with peripheral neuropathy and taking care of patients with disc problems, it's one body. I need to really look at how you're making nitric oxide. And if you do it well, then that's great, and that means your diet's real good and your body's making its own nitric oxide. But a lot of people, due to stress, poor living, dietary changes, medications, poor diet, don't make nitric oxide well. You need the precursors. All right, so we call this the miracle molecule, nitric oxide. Dr. Louis Ignara wrote this book, No More Nitric Oxide, with Conrad Murad and Furad Muri, if I remember the three doctors correctly. In 1998, they won the Nobel Prize for discovering nitric oxide. Not nitrous oxide, that's when you go to the dentist and they give you gas on that. That's nitrous oxide. This is nitric oxide. So there's a difference. And there's two different pathways. L-arginine is very big in the nutritional world, around bodybuilding. It'll help you cause perfusion of blood into your muscles and causing hypertrophy. But as we get older, we don't do this pathway so well where we're making nitric oxide, and we switch over to this pathway where the oral microbiome in the mouth reduces nitrate to nitrite, and then it has a lot to do with the gut microbiome, and then that gets turned into nitric oxide. So you need to be able to do this. Unfortunately, a lot of people have oral disease or poor oral hygiene, where they maybe think that their oral hygiene is really well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is important. Endothelial production of nitric oxide declines with age. So the endothelium is the inside lining of your arteries. And as blood flows through, your body is stimulated to make the production of nitric oxide. You have something known as the endothelial glycocalyx. It's like actually a sugar coating that's on the outer layer or the inner layer of your blood vessels. And if that starts to become deficient, then you start to make plaque. And as plaque starts to build up, as nitric oxide starts to decline. So there is a correlation between the two, all right? And these are a lot of very important things that you would need to pay attention to if you're suffering from any of these, like skin damage, support your immune system, protect your bones. Everything needs a blood supply. And if you're deficient in nitric oxide, then you're not going to be able to do that. We looked here at peripheral neuropathy. So we have a program here that we can take care of the symptoms with peripheral neuropathy using our Class 4 Sumus medical laser and using the Matrix, which has a whole neuropathy program built into that. But if I'm not stimulating the production of nitric oxide, then the program is not going to be as successful. So it's important for me to test the patients and to make sure that we do that well. So if you're over the age of 40, you can't heal a gut, a leaky gut, colitis, inflammatory bowel, all right, without nitric oxide. And nobody's really looking at it, all right? immune dysregulation, sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction. So ED, endothelial dysfunction, is associated with ED, erectile dysfunction, and they're both correlated together. Part of the problem is oral hygiene. All right, so we're all very conscious about keeping our breath, well, not everybody, but you should be, all right, about keeping your breath fresh. But using these antimicrobial mouthwashes destroy the oral microbiome in your mouth, and that's the first step in the conversion of prebiotic nitrate into nitric oxide in your mouth, okay? So we can test. I have test strips in the office. This is a product that's mostly fermented beetroot powder and beetroot extract. So if you're eating beets on a regular basis, you're way ahead of most people. A lot of people don't eat that. And then say you're on this product for about 2 weeks and the test strip doesn't change, then we're going to add an oral microbiome gum that'll improve the oral microbiome in your mouth and bring you from being acid to being alkaline, and you change the overall species of the bacteria in your mouth. So it's very easy. We put it in your mouth for 5 seconds. We take the 2 tips at the end and we squeeze them together, and then you want to see where you are. So a lot of people are very low. When I tested myself, I was very low. And once I realized that this becomes a very important formula for me, I've been in the high range now for quite a period of time, which gives me a lot of energy. So that shows you depleted, very low, and then you want to be in this area right here, all right? So here you see arugula and beets. So that's happened to be a very good increase the consumption of nitrate-rich foods. Arugula, beets, bok choy, spinach will increase your nitric oxide production in your body. So if I have an older patient in here and I test them with the test strip and all of a sudden they're really good, I go, did you have beets yesterday? And they go, how'd you know? I go, I can tell but just by looking at the test strip. These are other foods. These are nitrate-rich foods. And I've shown this picture to patients before, and some people go, I never eat any of these. And then some people go, I eat this stuff all the time. So the people that eat this stuff all the time are more alkaline, produce more nitric oxide. You get a lot of the antioxidants, the proanthocyanidins, all from the colors, the polyphenols in these different types of vegetables, all right? So if you haven't been paying attention to nitric oxide, it's a 15-second test. We can order the test strips for you, deliver it right to your house through Fullscript, and the Berkeley Life product is not an expensive product. I take 2 capsules a day. Nitric oxide is the missing link in many chronic diseases. The oral microbiome plays a role in nitrate availability. Adequate nitric oxide levels are needed to heal a leaky gut. I see a lot of people with gut problems, inflammatory bowel, and we can measure, is your gut a good barrier or not? And regular self-testing increases compliance. So I recommend patients, once they get into the groove, they test themselves once a week. If you have any questions, give us a call.